Hello Math 7 students, this is Utah Middle School Math Project 5.3a. How many diameters does it take to wrap around a circle? If you're watching this video, it's probably because you're at home and you do not have access to the calculators. So I will be recording this video giving calculator directions. You'll see the same things that we're doing in the calculator, but you at home will want to follow the directions in Canvas instead of the word-for-word, step-by-step directions that you're going to be seeing in the video. If you're watching this video, make sure you're in Canvas and click on GeoGebra. This is going to take you to a place that's going to do the same types of things of what we're going to be doing in class. You'll just want to make sure that you are following all of these steps to complete the same things that we're completing in class. Now, with that being said, students in class, you are going to do something that we haven't done before, I don't think anyway. We're going to create a new document. So we're not going to use the calculator feature this time. We're going to go option 1 to create a new document. And when you do that, it's going to ask what type of a document. We are going to do number 3. We're going to add a geometry page. Looks like not much happened. It's just a blank page. You can see over here in the corner that little space is 1 centimeter. Before we get started, I want to make sure that there is a certain setting selected. So on this blank screen, please click on Menu. And then option 9 for settings. And scroll down to the bottom. Make sure the automatically label points is checked. I don't really care about any of the other ones. I just want to make sure the automatically label points is checked. Once you confirm that that's checked, click OK. I'll wait until I see everybody's screen looking like mine. With this blank screen, we are going to add a circle. So to do that, I'm going to click on Menu. If you look over to option 5, there are lots of different shapes that we can add. Make sure you choose option 1, Circle, and then don't do anything, wait for directions. If you've done this correctly, you're going to see in the upper left-hand corner is a new icon. That icon says we're in this sort of tool. That tool, if you hover, it will tell you it's a circle tool, and it will tell you how to use that circle tool. You click the center location, and then you click to define the radius. Here's what that means. Eyes on the screen. Don't do this. You're just watching my screen. I click a point. That's the center. And then as I move away, you can see that circle sort of forming. Wherever I decide to click, that's defining the radius, and that is defining the circle. Notice, even though I've created a circle, I'm still in circle mode. So anywhere I click, I'm going to try and create other circles. To avoid that, I hit Escape. Now, do that with me. I was Menu, Option 5, Option 1, Circle. You click in wherever you want the center to be. Click somewhere else to define the radius, and hit Escape. What we're going to do now is we're going to add 2 points to the circle. They can be anywhere on the circle, but they have to be on the circle. To do that, eyes on the screen, you watch me first. Menu. Option 4 is points and lines, and we need to choose option 2, which is point on. Again, if you want to know what that does, you can see we've got a new icon here. You just click on the object and place a point. Click on the object and place a point. Now you can do that with me. I'm going to Control Z and we can do it together. Menu. Option 4 is points and lines. Option 2, point on. Click on the circle because we want to add a point that's on the circle, and then click where you want the point to go. Click somewhere else, again on the circle, saying yes, we want the point to be on the circle. This is where I want that point to be. We're still in that tool. We don't want to be in that tool anymore, so we hit Escape. Notice, because we chose automatically label points, we all have a point A and a point B. If you have more than one point A and one point B, you should probably hit Control Z to undo that step. Remember, I can see your screens. I know when you are off task. Here's our next step now that we have these 2 points. I want to add a line that goes from point B to the center of the circle. Okay, so watch me first and then you can do. Watch me. Menu, option 4, points and lines, but, oh, hold on, let me just make sure that I'm doing this. Yes, you're going to click on option 4, line. I'm going to go from B to the center, and it created a line. Notice I'm still in that tool. Hit escape so I'm no longer creating lines. Let's do that together now. Together we click menu, we click option 4, points and lines, and this time we're going to choose option 4 to create a line, and we want the line to go from B through the center. So I click on the center and then I'm done. Hit escape. I'm going to wait until I see everybody's screen looking like mine. Pausing the recording so we don't waste recording time. Now, this line, something that we need to understand about lines are infinite. They continue on infinitely. This calculator is only showing the line from here to here, but it is a line. We just need to make it extend. So what I'm going to do to make it extend, watch me first and then you can do. If I grab and hold, and I'm actually going to do it here on this end, if I grab and hold, I can pull that line so that it extends all the way through. Okay, I want you to do that now. Again, the way that you do that is you press and hold. So with your hand icon hovering over that line, you press and hold, it will grab down, the hand will close, and then you can extend that line through the circle. Okay, I like doing that because I can now see that this line intersects the circle here at point B, and we can see where it intersects over here as well. That point is important. I want to put that point on the screen as well, but I have to do it in a very specific way. So watch me do this first. We're going to go menu. I'm going to go points and lines, but this time I need to click on an intersection point. That's going to find the exact precise place where those two things intersect. So when I click option 3, this tool says, okay, first click on the first thing, then click on the second thing, and we'll find the point. So I want to click on the circle first, then I'm clicking on the line, and it just found that point. It doesn't automatically label it. I thought it would. It doesn't. So now that that point is there, if I don't do anything else and I go right into typing D, it will label that point D, and then I hit escape. Let's do that together. So together, we're going menu, option 4, points and lines, option 3, intersection point. Click on the two things, click the circle, click the line. As soon as that point shows up, just type in the letter D, and you might need to hit enter. I don't know if you need to hit enter on yours. And then hit escape. Now we know where that point is, and so what I'm going to do now, this is not going to make sense right at the very beginning. I want to get rid of this line, but I want to keep the part that's on the inside. So what I'm going to do is, remember, lines have infinite length. So this line continues extending beyond that circle. I want to go to a line segment and just go from B to D and not have it extend past. So watch what I do. Watch me first. Don't do this, you're just watching. Menu. Option 4, I'm going to go to segment. I'm going to create a segment that goes from B to D. Now it's almost going to look like you can't see it because it's just right on top of the line. I'm going to create another segment that's going to go from A to the center. Once I've created those two segments, then I'll hit escape. And now let's do that together. So menu, option 4, points and lines, option 5, segment, B to D. It's going to look like nothing really happened, but there is a segment there now, and then I'm going to do the same thing from A to the center of the circle and hit escape, so we are no longer trying to create segments. Now remember, this line is still there. I don't want the line to be there, But if I delete this line, other things will be deleted too. So instead, we're going to just hide it. So with me now, menu, option to view, nope, that's not the right one. It's option 1, actions. And in option 1, actions, you have the option to hide or show. So when I click option 3, it creates this little eyeball. And anything I touch, anything I click is going to hide it. I don't want to hide everything. The only thing I want to hide is this line. Not even the segment. I want the segment to stay there. I just want to hide the line. So I'm going to click on the outer edges of the circle where that line is kind of hanging out the edge. Click, and you see how it went gray. Now when we hit escape to get out of this menu, this tool, that line will be hidden. Please stand up when you have made it to this point. Here is some vocabulary that when we go back to our paper, we're going to highlight. This line segment that goes from one end of the circle through the center to the other edge of the circle has a name. This segment is called a diameter, which is why I labeled this point D and I skipped C, D for diameter. This point that goes, or this line segment that goes from the center to the edge is called a radius. Now, in our packet, it says that we need to measure certain lengths. We're going to have the calculator do those measurements as well. So watch me first, hands off of your calculator, eyes on the screen. I want it to measure the line segment of the diameter, the line segment that's the radius, and I can even have it measure that circle. What is that called when I measure the edge of the circle? Devin? It is the circumference. The circumference is a fancy word for the area or the perimeter of a circle. So this is the circumference and the calculator will measure that as well. You're watching first. Menu, option 6, measurement. We're measuring the length. So when I have it measured this line segment, I click and it will let me decide where I want to place it. I'm just going to place it kind of somewhere where the diameter is. If I click any other piece, it's going to measure that as well because I'm still in the measurement tool. So now when I click on this segment here, that would be the radius. It is going to measure it and I can choose where to place it. I'll place it there. I can also click on the circle and it will measure that circumference of the circle. I'm going to place that measurement here. Now that I'm done, I'll hit escape. Now I'm going to Control Z so that I can do that with you together now. Menu, option 6, measurement, option 1, length. Click on your diameter and place your measurement. Click on your radius and place your measurement. Click on the circle to place the measurement of the circumference. Choose where you want it placed and hit escape. I have mine set to show a couple of extra decimals, so here's what I encourage you to do as well. Click on Menu, option 9, Settings. My float is set to 5. I would encourage you to change your float so that it also is set to 5. Now we can see these measurements recorded to 3 decimal places. I want you to record that first. Record my own. That way all of us have the same information. I want you to record that. So let me pull mine over so that we can see it. My diameter is 10.506. So measurement of the diameter in centimeters. For this first one, I want us to all have the same one. So the diameter that we're all going to put is my diameter. If I can get this working. .506. The measurement of my radius was 5.253. So for the radius, 5.253. And the measurement of the circumference of the circle in centimeters, my circumference is 33.005. You're going to repeat that process. You can put yours in the next row. Don't worry about this last column, we'll get there in a second. Okay. Everyone done writing theirs down in the table? All right. There's something that I would like to show you. A couple of things. One of those things is this column is the ratio of the circumference to the diameter, or in other words, C divided by D. We're going to write it as a decimal rounded to the nearest hundredth. So, since we have written all of our own decimals to the nearest thousandth, that allows us to measure to the nearest hundredth relatively accurately. So in our calculator, now that this is listed on your table, you can switch in your calculator over to calculation, and you can type in those measurements. So let's do mine first. Mine was 33.005 for my circumference. And you guys have that paper in front of you. I have to toggle back and forth. What am I dividing that by? What was the diameter measurement? Thank you. 10.506. When I do that division, it tells me 3.1415381687. We're doing to the nearest hundredth, so that would be 3.14. But here's what I'm going to write. I want to write down what it is that we just typed into the calculator. 33.005 divided by the diameter, 10.506. And when I did that, I got 3.14. Yes, Grant? We're getting there. Just be patient, please. Some of you already know this, some do not, so we're not going to spoil everyone else's opportunity to learn just yet. That can be kind of tedious, having to go back and forth, remembering the measurements, writing them down, then going to the calculator to try and type in that division. Hit escape, and if you did everything correctly, it should take you right back to your document with your circle. You can make the calculator do that division for you. So, with me please. Menu, no, watch me first. You need to watch first. Hands off the calculators, watching first. Menu, Option 1 Actions, Option 1 Text. This is asking where do we want to place the text, and then we're going to type the text. I'm going to place the text here, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to type in C divided by D. Press enter. That has created the text. Do that now. I'll redo it with you. Sorry. Menu, Option 1 Action, Option 7 Text. Click where you want it to go. Type in C divided by D and press enter. Now, I'm going to go back into the menu, and again, watch first, please. Hands off your calculator, watch first. Menu, Option 1, we're going to go down to Calculate. I'm going to tell the calculator to calculate this C divided by D. So look now, I'm in Calculate mode. First, I need to click the expression. This is the expression. As soon as I click it, it's going to say, okay, I will do C divided by D, but you have to tell me what is C. C is what I have measured here as the circumference. So I click on that measurement. And as soon as I do, it says, okay, what do you want to be the D? I don't want the D to be that point. I want it to be the measurement of the diameter. So I click on that, and then it gives me this calculation, and I can place it right there next to the C divided by D. Hit escape, and let's do that, or hit escape to get out of that menu, and now I'm going to do that with you. Menu, option 1, and option 8 to calculate. When we go to option 8 to calculate, we're in that calculate mode. First, we click on the expression saying I want you to calculate C divided by D. It asks, what do you want to be C? We want it to be the circumference. What do you want to be D? We want it to be the diameter. It's going to calculate that. We get to choose where to place it. I just want to place it near that C divided by D expression, and I hit escape so I'm out of that tool. When you have completed this step, please stand. The nice thing about doing this is it automatically does that calculation. So with the circle that you have, you already wrote down your own measurements. Write down that division that you did, just like we did here. The calculator did it for you. Write that down to the nearest hundredth. You're going to notice that you have a couple of extra blank spots. Eyes on the screen. You can change the size of your circle, and it will automatically recalculate and remeasure. So to change the size of the circle, see how I have the circle sort of bolded? The hand is on it. If I press and hold, I can drag it out, and I have new measurements. Notice what's happening. It is remeasuring each of these pieces. At the same time, it's also recalculating. What are you noticing as it's recalculating? Is this changing? So you need to stop at a couple of different measurements. Record those measurements until all the spaces in your table are filled out. So I might pause and say, okay, now my diameter is 13.903, my radius is 6.9514, and my circumference is 43.677. And I would write that down in my table, write down the division that took place and the result. I'll pause the recording as students get their measurements recorded and their circle changed and recorded again. Please help me out. I can fill in one of my own measurements that's on the screen, but I'd like to hear some of yours. Do I have a volunteer who will tell me? Thank you. Trace, tell me a radius, diameter, and circumference. 10.627. Did I write this down? You went out of order, so I was stumped by that for just a second. 66.77? Okay. I'm going to make a conjecture here that when you did this division, you got 3.14 to the nearest hundredth. Am I accurate in that assumption? Okay. Give me another measurement that you have here, please, Joshua. Okay, and when you did this division, 3.14. That's not right. 0.85386 with the result of 3.14. Okay. Give me some other calculations, Sophie. Okay. Okay. 3.14. Okay, and somebody else for the last one. Luke, go ahead. Great. And when you did this division, 10.767 divided by 3.4273, I'm going to take a wild guess and say that was 3.14. Which simplifies to 3.14. Therefore, I still win. You know that I always will win. Nice try, though. All right. Okay, couple things here. What do we notice about the values in the third column? Of course, they're all the same. And yes, some of you already recognize that number. What is that number? I should have done full screen here this whole time. What is the name of that number, Grant? I know, I'm calling on Grant. It's pi. 3.14 is known as pi. Now, I would also like to point out, right now my float, what did I set it to, 5? You don't have to do this. If I make this change and I set the float to as high as it can go, notice that there are really all those extra decimals that have been measured, right? It's just sometimes we cut it off just for the sake of that's a lot to look at and it hurts our eyes and it hurts our brains. But notice, does the decimal really stop at 3.14? 3.1415926535 and no matter what I do to that as it remeasures, that is always staying the same. So we call this pi because calling it 3.14159265359987932384626433 is kind of annoying, right? So we call it pi. It is an irrational number, and it is the ratio of the circumference to the diameter. Now, with that in mind, I want you to understand what this really means here. Go back to proportions. Do you know how a 10 changes? Not a 10, but a 10.506 changes to a 33.005? No, so we would work backwards, right? This is the working backwards column. And when I work backwards, what did I get consistently every single time? 3.14 or pi. We can call this then the constant of proportionality. If I know the diameter, I'm just going to call that d for diameter. How can I find the circumference? Everywhere in this column I'm multiplying by pi, so I'm going to take this diameter, Joshua, and multiply by pi to go forwards into the new column, and that is going to give me the circumference. What I want you to do now is I want you to find the constant of proportionality between the radius and the diameter. You can use logic, you can use your calculator if you would like. How is this column changing to this column? What am I multiplying by to go from here to here? Do some calculations at your table, check in with your groups, use some logic if you need to. I want to hear those conversations at your table. I want to hear those conversations at your table. And what do you notice? What is that relationship between the radius and the diameter? What is that relationship, Gideon? Yeah, the radius is half of the diameter. It takes 2 radii, that's the plural of radius, to make a diameter. For example, I can move this point over here and see that's half of the diameter. I can move it over here and see that's the other half of the diameter, and that measurement isn't changing. So, how do I go from a radius to a diameter? What do I multiply by, Cambria? We multiply by 2. We can use that to write the formula for circumference in terms of the diameter and in terms of the radius. We already did that. If I am in the d or diameter column, how do I go forward into the circumference column? I multiply by pi. So if I have the diameter, I multiply it by pi, and it will give me the circumference, where that pi is that constant of proportionality. What if instead of the diameter, what if I only know the radius? How do you go from a radius to a diameter? What's that relationship again? Cambria knows. Yeah, we multiply by 2. So now what is this r times 2, radius times 2? What does that really tell me? That's a diameter. Once I know the diameter, how do I find that circumference? We take that diameter and multiply it by pi. Your homework is memorize these formulas. Got it? All right. That's it for today's video. Thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.